Happy Monday! Happy Monday! They say the third time is the charm. So this is the third time this evening that I am going to be speaking and sharing some of my reflections about the phrase with all my mind. So the first Facebook Live I attempted after about a couple minutes, maybe 2 minutes, it just automatically ended and it was no more. And then I thought, okay, glitch, no problem. I'll start a new live. So I did, and it went well, I think, in the sense that it stayed live the whole time. But what happened is it didn't save. So now what to do? So I am like, forget live video for tonight. I'm going to try this again next week, and hopefully next week will go much smoother. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my thoughts here on this video, and then I'm going to post it on our Facebook group page. So the other week I was reading a verse in my Bible app that said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and with all your mind. Now, this is not the first time that I'd ever read this verse, heard it and read it, I don't know, countless times. But for that particular moment, the phrase with all your mind, like, pow, it really stood out to me. It was like this flashing neon sign, and it just seemed very important. And so that is where I got tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is not to, analyze that verse from a theological perspective, but to speak on this idea of love and all of our minds from a practical perspective. So let's start with defining love, okay? So I'm a teacher, and I find it is useful to my students that when teaching them a new concept, it's helpful for their understanding if they start to define things for themselves, or even just like looking up a basic definition. So, excuse me, I've been talking. Okay, I'm good. So let's define the word love according to Merriam-Webster. So some words that are associated with love are deep affection, enjoyment, a deep like, passion, attraction. That attraction could be either sexual attraction, or it could be like a mental stimulus, like you're attracted to that person's mind, you're attracted to that person's spirit, you're attracted to spending time with that person. Also, it is associated with the word worship and with the word of intimacy, right? So what happens when we love someone and that love is broken? Okay, this may be in a romantic relationship. It could also be with a family relationship or a friendship. It could even be in a work professional situation. Say you had a business partner, for some reason things didn't go as planned, and there is a business falling out. Okay, so what happens when that love, that intimacy that we felt with that person, whether it was in a romantic situation or like a family setting, what happens when that intimacy, that warmth is no longer there? It's taken away from us. Well, where does our mind go? The first place our mind goes is, help. Okay, I'm hurt. I want to make this better as soon as possible. And what's the fastest way to feel better and to get over this and to move along? Because none of us like pain, right? And that's what we're taught from a very early age, even, is pain, just like push it aside, right? Like for boys, right? Oh, boys don't cry, man up, get your weight up, different things, right? And I mean, he's like a 5-year-old boy who like fell and like twisted his knee or his ankle because he was riding a scooter too fast down the hill or something, right? But from a very early age, or like the phrase "big girls don't cry," oh, you're a big girl, you don't cry anymore, right? So we're told, from an early age, like to just kind of push that pain, get it moving into a new direction as fast as possible, so that when we grow up and we're an adults, or even before we're adults, really by the time we're teenagers, or even like late childhood, 9, 10, we've learned from, family and society, maybe even teachers in school, just like keep it moving. Let's get a Band-Aid on it and be all okay and move right on. So here's the problem with this though, is that these solutions a lot of times that we're told will make us feel better do not, okay? So I am not an expert on the mind, right? I'm not a neuroscientist. I speak from, my own experience and what I've read. But if you are looking for, specific information and you really want to learn more about like the inner workings of the mind and trauma and how that is all processed, I personally recommend, looking up Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's definitely my favorite neuroscientist to, listen to and to learn from. So if you want to get some really deep insights on the workings of the mind and why, our minds sometimes do the things they do with our thoughts, I recommend checking her out. But what we are thinking in our brains, right, to fix those hurts that we've received in our love relationships are not always true. They're not always accurate. So I want to talk about the 2 S's tonight of things that our parents, our friends, society have taught us about sex and success. All right. So these are more like, I would say, Band-Aid solutions. Okay. But they're not actually really going to heal us. All right. Even though this is what we have been taught a lot of times. So for example, let's talk about sex. So the best way to get over someone is to get under the next person. Great. You feel good for however long that person lasts. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you're lucky, right? And then what? You still are left with yourself, and you are still left with those initial wounds, right? Because sex is not getting that result. Now, we've been taught that also sex is the same as intimacy. Sex equals intimacy, or sex equals safety, or sex equals affection. And these things are true in a healthy, relationship. But when we're using sex as a tool to get over hurt, this is not the same thing as sex in a healthy, functioning, whole relationship, all right? It's actually not going to be the case. And I will speak from experience, because after rape, the first thing I was like, well, let me get over this and let me make myself feel better by, choosing who I'm going to have sex with next. And that's going to make it all better, right? If I have choice in sex again. No, actually it didn't. It did not at all. And in fact, it actually left for different reasons. And there's no reason to tell that story now. It's not the time or place, but it left me with bigger problems. And so while it is something that gives, us sensations, it does not get to the root of things like our fears, our fear of being abandoned again, our fear of being hurt again, our fear of what if this person not only leaves me, but what if I'm not good enough for this person? Like whatever messages or pain or fears that we haven't, worked through, they're not just going to magically disappear because we had sex with someone. And it also doesn't even give us the time or the space to look at, the relationship that had gone wrong, right? Where was our responsibility in it? Because it does take two to tango. So there is always responsibility on both sides, right? And so just jumping in underneath someone, getting under someone to get over another person is not giving us that time. It's just kind of like a pretend, right? We're pretending to be okay for that time or that period, and we're pretending that everything's okay, and pretending is not reality. It doesn't get to what's really wrong in our heart, and it doesn't help us to heal. So that is also why, it's by itself not something that completes us. I know a lot of times, Hollywood, and I know a lot of people speak about this, phrase of "you complete me." Yeah, no. All right. We have to be able to complete ourselves. So the other myth of where our mind sometimes goes, and I think this happens particularly, my experience and things that I've heard from people, it happens more like in friendships or in professional relationships or in family relationships, when like a mother or father has told us, or even a teacher has told us, oh, you will never amount to anything, you're no good, you're lazy, you're this, you're that, whatever it is. And we're like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. I am going to grow up. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be accomplished. And so then we go out and we work as hard as we can to become, that award, Nobel Peace winning author, or like a famous actor, or, a doctor or something, whatever it is that we feel would prove to that other person that, oh, look, I made it, I'm successful. Now I am worthy. Now I am valuable. And now maybe you'll love me, right? Maybe you'll want me as your child. Maybe you'll want me as your friend. Maybe you'll want me as your life partner, whatever it is, right? A lot of times I see these little videos. I don't know if these people are really serious or not, but I was not what he wanted, so I became the woman he could not have, something like that. I don't remember it exactly, but trying to prove and make ourselves successful. The problem with this is that it does not make room for us to heal in terms of forgiveness. So forgiveness is incredibly, incredibly important in our healing journey. It is not, in my opinion, possible to fully heal on any type of level if we have not forgiven. Now, forgiveness does not happen overnight. It's not instant. It's not like instant noodles or Instagram or anything instant, right? It takes time, and sometimes it has to, be given over and over and over again, right? Because things come up in our lives that may trigger those emotions and those feelings of hurt that we felt when we were initially abandoned by whatever relationship that we were in. So, forgiveness is something that takes work and time, but it has to happen. And if we are spending our energy on trying to prove ourselves to someone, we're not forgiving that person. We haven't made the space and time. So also, I would like to say, what about people who don't have a doctorate, who do not have fame or a lot of social media followers, or they haven't won awards. They're not an award-winning scientist, or they're not an award-winning whoever, entrepreneur, whatever it is. Does that mean they're not valuable and that they are not worthy? Of course, it does not mean that. Of course, you do not have to win an award to be worthy and to be valuable. We are all worthy. We are all valuable. Every single life, right, is special, right? It's unique, and there is something like powerful in each individual. And it doesn't matter what our accomplishments are or are not. That does not actually really build our value. Those are contributions that we make to society, to the world. Of course, I'm not saying it's not important to accomplish things or to do things, but what I'm saying is that those things are not the root and our worth of our value, because then that would imply that if you haven't reached a certain level, that your life, that your existence is not valuable. And that, so logically, it doesn't make sense. And also, like I said, by trying to prove ourselves, it doesn't give us the time to sit down and forgive, which is something that is so important. So to wrap it all up, while sex in itself is like a beautiful thing, and while accomplishments and success themselves are a beautiful thing in their own rights, these are not things that are meant for us to heal. They are, so what we can do is sit down and think about things, and we don't always have to sit down. I'm not saying you always have to be sitting down and thinking, because sitting down and thinking a lot can like lead us, right? Where with all your mind, right, you're going maybe down dark rabbit holes. But when we are focusing our minds, we want to focus our minds on things like facing our fears, facing what went wrong, facing and ourselves, learning about ourselves, who we are, and who we are at our core, and like, what do we really love? What do we really enjoy? Like, just getting to know ourselves, being our own friend. And it does help if, you know, that verse where it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart. It does help if I believe, if we have a relationship with our Creator, because then we can have these conversations with a higher being, with a being that, you know, a power that has a totally different perspective than we do. And different perspectives are good to get. This is also why it's important for us to have good friends. So we want to make sure that when we are working on our healing, we are focused on things that will really change us and our lives, and help us, not just Band-Aid solutions. So you're welcome to make any comments underneath this video. I'm happy to hear from you if you have any questions. Also, you know, the healing process can be really personal, and so if any of you have any questions, you're also welcome to send me a DM privately, and I will be happy to do my best to support you in that area. And so I wish you all a good evening, a good night's rest, and we've got a whole week ahead of us, which is exciting. So have a wonderful week, and I'll be back next Monday on Facebook Live. Hopefully it will all work, and we'll have this let's record a video 3 times. So it's an adventure. All right, have a good evening. Love you. Peace.